Hello, and welcome back to another amazing coffee conversation. I'm just going to make sure that I can see everyone, I can hear everyone, and I am going to put this so that you can see both of us for this little bit. Hello. Welcome back to another amazing coffee conversation. I am so excited today to be joined with Christine Renee for this amazing conversation about our spirit team and how we can connect them. Hello.
Hi, I'm super excited. I am joining you guys from Houston. I'm down in Houston, hanging out with Lighthouse Reiki and Crystals down here for some workshops. They've been awesome, and they're all on the same topic. I've been doing. I think I've done 6 workshops in 2 days, and it's all on shamanic Reiki. It's all on all of this beautiful spiritual topics that are related to shamanism, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it and really excited that I had the opportunity to jump on. Wi-Fi's working, all is well. And so I can pop on with you guys to this morning. So thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm really excited to be here and to be doing this with you. I feel like it's been a while since we've done a conversation, just the two of us, which is really exciting. I always love getting to share these conversations with you. And I am coming to you from Knoxville, Tennessee. I was supposed to be in Houston with Christine this weekend, and the universe had other plans. And so I am back in Tennessee, and I am watching the snow outside my window. We got snow today, which is really exciting for me because I love the snow. And I'm just drinking water this morning.
Yeah, me too. I'm just drinking water.
Yes. And I was talking with one of my mentors the other day, and we were talking about the weather and how there's so much when it starts to go into freezing temperatures and it starts to get really cold, and we have the hurricanes and the snow and the rain and the sleet and all of it. There's so much like, oh, I can't believe it's snowing and this is terrible and I wish it would be better, and like how we can sit back and even in that find an opportunity for that gratitude of like how amazing is that snow and how amazing is the wisdom of Mother Nature, of the earth, for knowing what she needs and being able to provide that. Like, I think it really speaks to, I feel like a lot of us right now in the New Year's and with our resolutions and all of that energy going around and kind of mass consciousness of being better and doing more and not really listening to our intuition. Like, I feel like New Year's a time when a lot of people are kind of sending their energy back out and trying to be better and achieve their goals and do this thing. And I feel like this is just a really beautiful reminder from the earth and from Mother Nature of like, we can intuitively listen to what we need and be willing to take up the space to be able to provide that for ourselves and to be able to nurture ourselves. And so I've been personally tuning into that energy that all of the storms today and all of the weather is kind of bringing us, is that idea of what do you need and are you willing to let yourself take up the space to be able to receive it.
Yeah. And also really, so many people are huddling indoors, and I'm like, that's winter. We're meant to slow down, tune in, go into that darkness and reflect. So, may this be an opportunity for you to be giving yourself permission to slow down.
Yes. So welcome everyone to our coffee conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited for today's conversation because it really does tie into everything that we were just talking about, of how supported we are and how loved and witnessed and seen we are and can be in the midst of all of our emotions and all of our healing and all of our process. And so I'm really excited for today's conversation. So Christine, do you want to kick us off today?
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about spirit teams, and spirit teams are amazing. Oftentimes people think they have like, I have one spirit guide or one guardian angel, and that's it. And I'm like, oh, honey, there's so much. You are just being swarmed by support. And when we can step into the space of starting to recognize them and communicate with them and connect with them, then you really start to open up about, oh, we have power animals and we have spirit guides and we have got spirit animals and master healer animals, and we have totem animals, and we have, we have so much celestial guides, and there's just such a wide variety. And when we can start by developing our connection with one guide, then we realize often, like, oh wait, there's like 5 people in this journey, or whatever it may be. And you start kind of tuning into, oh, this is my mother guide. This is my business guide. This is my soul path guide. This is my, and you can have a variety, and they're coming in for seasons of life. Sometimes they're there for your whole entire life, that they're here to help us stay connected with our soul agreements and making sure that we're fulfilling those. Like, that's their job. And so today's conversation is really to kind of explore all of these different types of guides, and what they can look like, and what they can feel like, and how they can support us, and how can we connect with them. So that's what we're talking about today. And I think a beautiful place to start is where we often recognize we have a spirit guide, or we have a guardian angel. And I really feel like those two terms can be exchangeable. Oftentimes what we see as a guardian angel, as the guardian angel is the spiritual entity who's there to support us, love on us, and help us see us through on this journey called life. And I feel like overall, that definition is fairly accurate. And there also are, the guardian angel, the primary spirit guide. They're here to make sure that we're following our soul agreements that we've signed up for. So before we came into this physical representation, and this physical world, and this physical body, we said, yeah, I want to come in with this soul family. I want to be born to these parents. I want to have these life lessons. And your spirit guide, that primary spirit guide, that guardian angel, is like, all right, so you've signed up for this experience, and this experience, and this experience. I got to make it happen. I got to put you in places and spaces, having the resources and opportunities, so that you can learn these lessons. Right. And so often their job is not easy one. That's the thing. Like, we always think like, oh, they're so sweet. And I'm like, they're going to kick my ass. they're going to push me off the cliff if I need to. They're going to give me the partner that's really difficult, because they're like, oh, you were supposed to learn boundaries this lifetime. Well, looks like that guy over there who has all those narcissistic personality issues, that's going to be the one to teach you those boundaries. So we're going to make you meet him, right? So keep that in mind when it comes to our primary spirit guides. They've got a checklist that you signed up for, and they're going to hold you to it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's so fantastic about this conversation. And in talking about your spirit guides, is there are, across all different spiritual ideologies and religions and philosophies, it's a really commonly accepted idea that we have something like a guardian angel or a primary spirit guide, or, in Christianity, a lot of times it's the Holy Spirit, unless you're, in the sect of Orthodoxy, and then even Orthodoxy believes that you have a guardian angel. Like, even in some of the world religions that people tend to look at and go, okay, but what about that one that says that we don't? There are these mentions of this guiding force, this kind of intersect between us and the divine, that's intermediary, if you will, that's kind of guiding us along our soul's path and guiding us forward in our destiny, and in what we're meant to do. And I think when we're talking about our spirit team, that's probably the one that comes up the most. It's kind of like, we always talk about how third eye is the chakra that everybody knows, whether you're spiritual or not, because it's just so pervasive across so many different ways of thinking. It's the same thing with your spirit guide, right? That's the one that people think, oh, my guardian angel or my spirit guide, or however you want to call it. And I think that's something that's really important to address from the start, is this idea that there are different names for the same things across different cultures and different ideas and ways of seeing this. And so here at Reiki Cafe, when we're talking about your primary spirit guide, it could be the exact same thing that someone else means when they're referring to having a guardian angel. But for us, what we're talking about is this one primary guide by primary, we mean like the most prevalent, the one who's most connected to and resonating with you, who has kind of been their purpose is to keep you moving forward on this path, is to keep you moving toward your soul's purpose, is to keep you aligned with the divine. And so, you can even see this echoed in the idea of like your conscience and that voice inside of you that's like, hey, maybe don't do that, or hey, maybe go do this thing. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think, for myself and for people who like to think about all the different ways that we can interpret these spiritual ideas is at the end of the day, whether you believe that there is truly a guide or you believe more in consciousness and you resonate more with like science and psychology and the idea of that inner voice, we can all recognize that there is this guiding force. And so at Reiki Cafe, and especially in shamanic practices, we find a lot of healing and empowerment in connecting to the embodied energy of that guidance, of that spirit, of that guiding force. And so we do see it as, this human embodiment typically of we have a person or a guide who is guiding us forward. And what's beautiful about that is it gives us a way to tangibly connect to them. It allows us to connect to this energy, to this wisdom that has been calibrated to us for this lifetime to keep us on our path in a way that our minds can understand. And what's beautiful about that is then it opens up this opportunity to have a relationship, to have a dialogue, to be able to go to your guide and ask, what do I do next? What do I need to do here? What lesson am I learning here? Right. And that's what we do in shamanic journeys, which is what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. But it's this idea of there is, at the end of the day, there is this energy, there is this wisdom, there is this guiding force in our lives. And in shamanic practices, and even in Reiki practices sometimes, right? We talk about our Reiki guide. In these kinds of spiritual sects, these kinds of spiritual ideas, we have been able to connect with the embodiment of that energy, with the embodiment of that archetype, if you will, of that energy that is guiding us forward, and to meet them in a form that our mind recognizes, a form that allows us to have these discussions, to have these dialogues, to connect with them in a really tangible way. And the beauty of that when we're talking about your spirit team is that then we can start to connect to all of the different guiding energies that are at work in our lives, all of the different wisdoms and consciousnesses and spirits and ancestors and all of it that are always running through our lives. Again, no matter how you want to look at it, whether you're looking at it from the quantum physics perspective, or you're looking at it from psychology, or you're looking at it from spirituality, it's something that we can all understand is this idea of those moments when we're sitting and we can feel that connection that's beyond ourselves. We can feel that presence of something that's greater than ourselves guiding us forward. And so when we're talking about your spirit team, we're talking about taking those moments and connecting to them so deeply that not only do we recognize that they're there, but then we can converse with them. We can connect with them in a way that's really productive, and it's a co-creation of that path, that step forward, and allowing us to see where do we need to go next, what do we need to know next, these spaces where we can connect to this wisdom that's so far beyond ourselves and let it guide us forward. And that's the beauty of your spirit team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps over here because, here's the thing, like once you start learning how to have connection with your primary spirit guide and you're starting to learn the techniques to communicate, and oftentimes they want to reveal themselves. They scratch that. They always want to communicate and connect with you. It's us that are getting in the way every time. So whether that is the doubt that's getting in the way, whether it's, oh, I need it to show up in this way, like you have this perception that it has to show up in a visual thing that you're going to see during meditation, or, like it can be very much like, please send me the answer. And then the book shows up, the person shows up, the opportunity shows up, like the next step for, hello, you asked for it. And that's in that asking, that's where we give our free will consent. That's what we need to be doing, is asking for help. They can't do much if they're sitting on the sidelines and we're like, I'm going to do it all by myself. I can figure this out. They can't intercede if we're so determined to be 100% independent and do it all on our own. they'll be like, great, you'll figure out your lessons one way or another. It's going to be a lot harder. And when we can go step back, go, I need help, I need support, I need your love, I need your healing. Please be present in my life and show me what my next steps are. That's where the magic starts to show up. And so when we need to ask for what we desire, not what our parents want for us, or what our kids want for us, or what our partners want for us, but what is our true soul desire? What's in alignment with our soul purpose? And when we start asking for support and fulfilling that, they are going to do everything in their power to make sure those circumstances show up. And the cool thing is once you start seeing it happen for you and you start giving back in gratitude, in that gratitude, they're like, she's finally paying attention. Yes, she's finally paying attention. Let's give her more. Let's keep this ball rolling. And so it's so easy to kind of get into this flow and then stay in the current, because once you're there, it's like we're co-creating. We're doing this together. We're on a team. And that's why I love calling it a spirit team, because once we have this connection, and in shamanic journey work, we can really start getting specific. We can get specific when it comes to what's the question, what's the learnings, what's my next step, how should I heal myself next, what's priority here. And in doing that, they'll start revealing the answers to you, and then start opening your mind and your perception to all of the other guides in your life that can be supportive as well. So we have our primary, but we can also have a business guide, and we can also have a guide that supports us in different aspects of our life. And then once that, and this is all very much upper world shamanic connection. Okay. So there's a whole other world called the lower world with our power animals, and there's mystical creatures. And that's a whole other beautiful space to play in. So in the lower world, we're meeting our power animals, and they've been with us since birth. And I love power animals, because basically when they hear a baby cry, they come forward, they sign up they get the assignment. Their job is to help us survive. Their job is to show up and make sure we're protected. And those power animals recognize that humans are the weakest babies on the planet. It's not the giraffe, it's not the elephant, it's not the chimp, it's humans. Humans are the weakest as a child, as a baby. And so they come forward and they hear our cry, and they show up to be our protectors. And in this light and this knowingness, our power animals really do want us to survive and to be strong, and to learn lessons through symbology and metaphor. And this is the way they communicate, is through experience. It's not through direct communication. They want to show us something. They want to be there for us. And notice how as children, we collect stuffies and figurines and all of these things that really are typically representing what we're seeing in the spiritual world of, these are our support people. These are our support people. These are our support animals, right? We have our stuffed bear, and we have our stuffed monkeys, and we have all of these animals. And when we sleep at night, our spirit recognizes in our sleep that here's our animals. And I love this from a feng shui point of view. Like whatever you put in your room at night, you're going to see in your dreams. And I'm like, of course you are. Right. And so when we can go into that space of sleeping, and you can recognize, look at what I've surrounded myself with. And children surround themselves with power animals, with these stuffed animals that at night, when they're even more vulnerable, they're there to protect them.
And I love that. I love that we can see these reflections of the spiritual world in our physical world, because it's something that, we were just talking about how step one of working with your spirit team is acknowledging that they're there, is allowing yourself to acknowledge that you do have support in the spiritual world, that you do have this team that's working with you, that's guiding you, that's helping you move forward. And when we can acknowledge that, that's when we kind of open the door, because like Christine was saying, our spirit team is always there. We are always surrounded by these loving entities, whether they're from the upper world and they're there to kind of offer us wisdom and messages and guide us forward and keep us moving, or they're from the lower world and they're there to offer us protection and help us stay true to our life lessons and hold the energy that we're working with in this current period in our lives, no matter which realm they're from or what their purpose is. They are always with us, but they can't do anything in our lives. They can't help us if we aren't A, willing to be helped, or B, acknowledging the fact that they're there. And I think that's something that's so powerful about this conversation. Is part of it is not only do we have to acknowledge that they're there, but we have to let them show up however they're going to show up. And that's part of why this conversation about look at your stuffed animals when you were a kid, right? And I think we all had that experience of whether we had a security blanket or a stuffed animal, especially our stuffed animals, where we had a nightmare and we had that stuffed animal that we kept. I remember I used to have a recurring dream when I was younger that, of course, has a whole shamanic perspective that we'll go into another time. But I used to have a dream when I was younger. It was a recurring nightmare, and I would wake up and I would put my stuffed animal behind my back so that I could face the wall, and my animal was behind me, literally protecting me in the room. And it's like, I look at that now and I remember how much comfort I took from having that animal there, and how at the time I could feel the energy of that animal with me. It wasn't just a stuffed animal, right? It wasn't just, this collection of fiber and cotton that happened to look like an animal. It was this animal that was protecting me, and I felt that protection. And I think we can all acknowledge that kids are a lot more connected to the spiritual world when they're younger. And so it's like looking back at when you were younger and you were connected, look at all of these stories and these memories that are reflecting back the fact that we have a spiritual team, the fact that we have these pillars of support available to us whenever, and remembering that feeling that you would get as a kid of that feeling so protected when you had your stuffed animal. Or, I can remember going outside and seeing all of the colors and trying to explain to my mom what I was seeing, and she didn't understand because you're a kid and you're trying to explain this tree has an aura, and like you don't have the words for that as a kid. But like we all have these experiences, these things that we remember from when we were children of, I thought I just made that up, or oh, that was just my imagination when I was a kid. And it's like, yes, but what is your imagination but your spiritual perspective coming through? And a lot of times it does get painted as, oh, you're just imagining that. But like, what a beautiful gift is that? How can we bring that back into our adult life? And instead of labeling it as something that's not real, start to redefine it and recognize it as perceiving beyond this physical reality, perceiving everything that's available to you in the spiritual realm. And so that's really what your spirit team is here for at the end of the day, is once you have that acknowledgement that they are here, once you can recognize, yes, my spirit team is around me, they are loving me, they are supporting me, they've been with me my entire life, and they have a purpose here to protect me, to guide me, to offer me wisdom, that connection, that support, that love is available to me always. Once we've acknowledged that, once we've stepped into that space, that's when they can start to work with us. That's when they can start to make shifts in our lives. Because if you think about, Christine was saying we have to ask. We have to ask for what we want. And a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, but who am I to ask for what I want? Who am I to, tell these spirits to go do my bidding? And it's like, that's not what it is if you think about your core self, your innate human soul self. We have been calibrated. We have been designed, if you will. We have our soul contracts of things that we are meant to learn in this lifetime, things that we are meant to experience in this lifetime. We have been calibrated for these experiences. And that's why, we talk about feeling out of alignment. And it's those times when we're going a different direction, when we're not staying true to that track that we were calibrated for, that track that our soul is calling us to take. But if we think about the fact that our spirit team is not connected to our human self. And I think that's a big misconception about spirit teams that I find really interesting is they're not connected to our mind. They're not here to help us with our thoughts. They're connected to our souls. It's our soul, our embodied soul that is calling in our spirit team. And that's the energy that they're resonating with. Yes, they're going to help us with our human issues. They're going to help us with our thoughts. They're going to help us with the problems that they have. They're going to help us through the physical representation of these energetic experiences. but that's not why they're here. The why for their being here is our soul. It's our soul that called them to help us stay true to it while we are in this embodied experience. And so, if we think about it that way, if our soul has been calibrated to have these desires, to have these experiences, to have this pull forward, and our spirit team, our, again, spirit team that is connected to our spirit, is here to help cultivate that spirit and to help cultivate those experiences, then asking for what we desire, asking for help, asking for wisdom, asking for our perspectives to be opened, all of these things, it's just fulfilling, it's just allowing them to connect, allowing them to do what they were meant to do, because it's letting them, it's opening that door and saying, I am ready for my spirit to be the primary guiding force in my life. I am ready for my soul to be the one that is guiding me forward. And in that, when you open yourself up to the wisdom of your soul and to the wisdom of that kind of internal GPS, then your guides can start to help, and your power animals can start to help, and your angels can start to help, because what you've done is you've put aside your mind, you've put aside your ego, and you've said, that's not going to be the thing that guides me forward anymore. I want it to be the spiritual. I want it to be my energy. I want it to be this net of energy and support and spirit and soul and all of it. I want that to be the thing that guides me forward. And because that's the realm in which our spirit team exists, that's what's going to open us up to be able to hear them and to be able to work with them, is when we step into that space of, this is my soul desire. This is what my soul is calling me to, because that's the realm that our spirit team plays in. And so if we're constantly trying to just, if our New Year's resolution is to make $5,000 a month because that's what our mind thinks is going to keep us safe, can our spirit team help with that? Yeah, sure. But is that why they're here? No, because we have to look at what's the deeper soul desire. What is all of the limiting beliefs and all of the subconscious things and everything we've talked about that's making us feel like that's going to keep us safe? When what our spirit team is going to do is look at it and say, what you actually need is understanding that you are safe, understanding that you are loved, understanding that you are supportive. And so they're not going to be here to help you get the $5,000. They're going to be here to help you feel safe, because that's what you need on a soul level. That's what you need on that spiritual perspective. And that's how they work. It's not on the human level the way we want it to be. And that's why it's so important to have that ability to sit down and ask for them to help, because it is putting aside that ego and it is putting aside those human desires and being like, what does my soul need? What's underneath this? And when we can open that up, then we're opening our lives up to the world of the spirits.
And so it comes back to that we're in a remembering phase. And I want to hyphenate that word. We are remembering. And so in this, and that's why as adults, we often are doing this work of remembering. We're going back to our soul and remembering and remembering our bodies, so that we know that we are interconnected with our spirit teams. But it's as adults, that's when that work happens. And the reason why is because children get it. You ask a 5-year-old what their power animals is, and they're going to tell you. And you can look around their bedroom and you can tell. You can tell what that is. And the question that, like, we have to remember that in our culture, in our society, in our institutionalized systems, we forget. We have this forgetting period due to the how we are, our culture, right? And so we have to give ourselves this adult permission to go, we were culturally moved away from these concepts. We were told not to trust our intuition. We were told not to talk about angels. We were told not to do these things because it would have made other people uncomfortable. It's all taboo and so much in our society. And so here we are, spiritual entrepreneurs or spiritual seekers, going, no, let's experience this. Let's explore this. Let's have a conversation about this. And yeah, it can make other people uncomfortable. But even I love children. If we can help them not forget if we can pull them back into their true divine orientation, they won't forget. So like I have a child who's almost 11, and literally last week she asked me, can we have a power animal party? And this is something that we do at our house so that she can connect with her power animals, but it's also my motivator. Like, you want to have a power animal party, you need to get your chores done. And it's just an honoring of her power animals. She'll find their favorite foods, and she basically has a tea party for her power animals, and they do their activities. And so she knows that at age 10, and she's turning 11 here next week, she knows who our power animals are. She draws pictures about them. She talks to them every night before we go to bed. We call in her power animals to protect her while she sleeps, because years ago she was astral traveling and moving into different dimensions, and it would freak her out. And I'm like, we need your power animals. And so there's a new way to go about this. She hasn't forgotten. She's totally connected. And that's really not, quote unquote, normal for a 10-year-old in this society, right? But it was because I never told her to, shh, that's not true, or you shouldn't talk about that. Like, how often when we grew up, the people who are listening to this now, when were we told we shouldn't talk about that anymore? Right? We need to grow up, don't talk about it, don't give attention to that. And then you are still remembering our calling. And that's why you're listening to this now. There's something drawing from within you to give your attention to this topic, going, no, it is real. There's something about that I do love. I want support around this topic. How can I connect with them? And so much of it is coming back to, we need to ask. We need to ask for the help. We need to ask for the support. And then you'll come and find this podcast. You'll come find the next step on your path. Maybe that's soul rising, so that you can have direct, specific questions to your spirit guides, to your power animals, to build your spirit team. And I love that we have opportunities, and that our guides, once we start getting curious, they're going to bring us to the right opportunity, to the right information, to the right mentor, to the right teachers. And maybe that's why you're listening to this now, right? And so there is just a whole world. There's a whole other world beyond this physical, and the answers and potential, and there's this limitless possibilities to explore when we do this spirit work. And the cool thing about it is that so often when we do shamanic journeys to connect with our spirit team, it's a very grounded practice. Oftentimes when we're connecting with spirit guides, and we're connecting with other worlds, it's very crown chakra oriented, and we feel disconnected, or detached. And in shamanic practices, it always comes back to your root. It comes back to that earth connection with nature, which helps you in that balance.
Yeah, and that's what I love about shamanic practices, because I think right now, specifically, especially after COVID and all of the tumult that's happening energetically in the world right now, I think so many people, so many practitioners can resonate with this idea of something isn't right. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if I'm even, maybe I'm just overthinking. Maybe it's just the moon phase. Maybe it's whatever it is. But that feeling of, I am disconnected. I am not quite where I'm supposed to be. And that feeling can be a range, right? It can range from this really deep, I'm not at all where I'm supposed to be, and I don't know what to do, and everything feels wrong and everything feels chaotic, to just that little niggling feeling of, I don't think this is quite right. I think there's something that I'm missing. And thinking about this feeling, this discomfort, this sense of disconnect, this like feeling that we get sometimes, that I think everybody can relate to, is it's like, what if that is your soul calling for you? That sense of disconnect, that sense of discomfort, it's just your soul getting itchy, is what I call it. It's like that soul level itch of, I'm not quite where I'm meant to be. Something in me isn't connected. I'm not fully tuned in, tapped in. And how often, when somebody else that we know is feeling that sense of kind of frenzy, that energetic static, how often do we tell them, just go step out in nature? Just go take a walk, go get some fresh air, go spend some time in the woods, just go be in nature. And it's like, what would happen if we let ourselves sink into that? And not just nature in, the beauty of nature outside, but the nature of things, like that nature with a capital N, of what is beyond this physical, what's underlying this physical reality. What is it that your soul is itching to connect with? And a lot of times that itch is a signal to your spirit team. It's a signal from your spirit team that's saying, hey, there's a little bit more, there's a little bit further, there's a next step for you that you're ready to take, but you just have to let yourself be ready for it. And this is something that I love about your spirit team, is they will tell you when you're ready. They will tell you that there's an opportunity. They will tell you that you can do it, but they're not going to make you do it. They are not going to push you. They're not going to do it for you. They're going to put you up to the starting line, and you have to be the one that takes that step. You have to be the one who steps across the threshold and starts the race and starts that journey, because it's our free will. And this is what is amazing about our support team, about our spirit team, is they're not going to do it for us. And why that is so powerful is because it gives us the opportunity to remember that at the end of the day, this is our journey. This is our soul calling us forward. This is our decision, our healing, our growth, our expansion, our experience. And we can call in our spirit team. We can get support. We can feel that love. We can feel that connection with our spirit team every step of the way if we want to. But even in that support, we're still the ones taking the steps forward. And I think this is where a lot of practitioners, and even just a lot of spiritual seekers, can feel a little frazzled, is they have that feeling, they have that itch of something is ready to give. I'm ready to take that next step. My spirit team is there. I know my guides are there, and they get frustrated. Somewhere in there, that sense of discomfort turns into a sense of frustration of, why isn't it working? Or I know my guide is there. Why can't I see them? Or I tried journeying to my power animal and I can't find them. Or I keep asking for the teacher to appear in my life and it's not happening. And we get frustrated. We start to feel like, it's just not happening. And when that happens, it's like, can we stop sending our energy out? Can we stop being frustrated at everything else and just pause for a minute? Just pause and tune in and go, what am I not hearing? And I think that's the beauty of our spirit team, is when our minds get loud, they get quiet. And there's a reason for that. It's because they're calling us back in. They're calling us back into slow down and listen. Listen and let yourself feel. And even just noticing, like, as I'm saying that, noticing what's happening in your body, of all of a sudden your energy just goes down. And that's what happens when we go out in nature. That's what happens when we meditate. That's what happens when we journey. It's giving our energy a chance to slow down, to listen, to stop creating ripples in the pond with our own thoughts and start looking for what's under the surface.
When we're doing this work and we're moving through reconnecting with nature, getting grounded, putting our intention out forward. I want to connect with my spirit guides. I want to connect with my higher purpose. I want to connect with my power animals. And the mind is setting us up roadblocks all the time, because our mind, the rational brain, is so hardwired to this 3D reality, to get things done, to hustle, to do whatever. And so spirit doesn't want to be on a checklist. It wants to be part of your life. And oftentimes the subconscious brain wants us to stay in survival mode. Why? Because it knows that if you keep doing what you've done in the past, you'll survive. And that's its job. It just wants you to survive. It just wants you to keep moving forward, keep living and not get hurt, right? That's the subconscious job. It doesn't want us to thrive. And so anything times that we try to try something new gets defeated. It wants to stop us. The subconscious is like, no, don't try that. That's new. We don't do new. It reminds me of that movie Crudes. How can you tell I have kids, right? So when we have that connection with our subconscious mind, it's constantly saying, wait, hold on, is this safe to do? And then our conscious mind is going, we have to tell our conscious mind, yes, it's safe to try this. I'm okay. And in that safety of allowing ourselves to come outside of our comfort zone, beyond what our subconscious wants us to do, we offer proof to the subconscious that we're safe to do it. And so we take these baby steps forward. That's why when we learn how to shamanic journey, it might take you a long ass time. And it might be something really quick. It totally depends on your relationship with your subconscious brain. Have you done the internal healing work? Have you done the trauma work? Have you helped heal the past so that it's not, that fear is not showing up in your present to keep you from developing your clairvoyance, to keep you from developing your clairaudience, from keeping you to saying yes to understanding the spiritual world, because it doesn't want you to thrive, it wants you to survive. Does that make sense? So we really need to say, I'm going to attempt to keep moving forward and to keep doing my internal healing work. That's why in our Soul Rising program coming up in early February, we are so committed to supporting you and healing your past traumas and to healing the inner child, because when the inner child is healed, your imagination station wakes up, and your imagination is a way we communicate and connect with the spirit world. That is part of our world, that if we can imagine it, spirit can communicate through that imagination. And then so you think that you're quote unquote making it up, and but why was it that color? Why did it show up in that way? That's where divine source is coming in to play with you. Right. But so we have to do the work of our past healing, of our inner child healing, so that it can show up in full force, so that there's not this scared, fearful energy coming forward of like, this isn't safe, don't do it, you might die, don't try anything new. And so when we can do that in deeper internal healing work, we can step into a space of exploration, of curiosity, of allowing your imagination to unfold the way it needs to. And in that allowing it to unfold the way that it needs to, that's where the magic happens. That's where your spirit guides show up. That's where the answers unfold. And they're going to show up in the way that you need it the most. I've had students who literally took for them, it felt like a long time to develop. And then they're just standing in front of a giant dragon's eye for months. And they're like, what is this about? I'm like, it's totally symbolic. Where in your life do you need to be fully seen? They're seeing you. They're there. They're witnessing you. Once you understand the lesson behind how can you be seen in your life and show up, they're going to be more dynamic with you. And other times, Chantel, for example, she's on our team. Her very first journey, she had a very quote unquote advanced experience of getting eaten by a power animal. And I'm like, you just never know, but it's always in accordance to how you're going to best learn and what you need to point you in the direction of where you need to heal, where your path is. There's not a right or wrong. We can't compare on how fast or how slow it is. That's just your ego saying that it's supposed to look like this. And when we can drop that, then it's going to come into a flowy place. That is why coming into Soul Rising, more of like a group mentorship program where you're going to have these mentors with you who's going to say, whoa, slow down. Notice this. Notice that you actually got a lot of information. You're just dismissing it. Let's honor what they showed you. Let's honor what showed up for you. And in that gratitude, you're going to get more. And so I love teaching people how to shamanic journey. I've been doing it for almost a decade now. And it's in this way of going, everyone is different. Every body is different. Every spirit is different. And can we teach from that level of when we can recognize you as unique, and you're going to have unique needs and unique support needed, so that you can optimize your ability to develop your clairvoyance, develop your clairaudience, develop your spiritual gifts, develop your clairsentience, so that you can move forward on this spiritual path of learning how to connect with your guides. That's what it's about. And that's why I love what I do, is because I get to watch people go from, I can't do this, it's so hard, it's not going to work, to, oh my God, this is amazing. And I love watching that transformation, because once you know how to journey, you're set. You no longer need a mentor. You can go directly to source and ask your questions and get the support you need from on any kind of question. I've had people ask questions about, I need a business logo, and then it shows up for them. And I just love that you're moving into a space of limitless possibility when you have this connection with your spirit guides. And that's what I love. I love to teach. And that's what's such a primary focus in our Soul Rising program coming up February 10th.
I think that's what we're really talking about in this conversation is the question that your spirit team is always, always, always asking you is, do you want to live from the space of your mind and your thoughts and your subconscious programming and the way that you've been doing it? Do you want to live in the ordinary day-to-day physical human reality of mass consciousness the way that it is right now? Or do you want to let your soul be the one that's guiding you? Do you want to step into the realm of non-ordinary reality? Do you want to see beyond what you're seeing now? Do you want to heal beyond what you thought you could? Do you want to connect with spirits, with energies that are beyond this physical reality? Do you want to do more? Do you want to be connected more? Do you want to see and feel and experience and heal and expand more? That is the question that your spirit team is always asking you, because as long as your answer to that question is yes, then they can show up, then they can support you, then they can move your life forward. That's the question that we're asking you with Soul Rising too, is do you want to stay stuck in the old patterns? Do you want to stay stuck in the traumas, in the wounds, in the emotions, in the triggers, in the overwhelm, in that feeling of disconnect, in that feeling of isolation, and that feeling of loneliness, in that feeling of anxiety and depression, and I can't do this, and hopelessness, and all of that? Is that what you want to continue to let lead your life, right? I think no matter how advanced we are in our spiritual path, we all have those moments where we feel that anxiety, where we feel that heaviness, where we feel that sense of being lost. But we don't have to stay stuck in it. That doesn't have to be the thing that's guiding our life. It doesn't have to be the thing that we're reacting from. It doesn't have to be the thing that we are moving forward from. It doesn't have to be the thing that's guiding our lives. And that's what our spirit team and that's what Soul Rising is calling you toward, is you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to feel like a victim. You don't have to feel like life is happening to you. You can step into that realization of life is happening through you, and how much magic there is in that, and how much connection and how much wisdom and how much love and how much healing and how much expansion and all of these things that you're wanting in your life. It's possible if you're willing to step beyond what you've done up to this point, if you're willing to open that door and walk across the threshold, like we were talking about earlier. Are you ready? Are you willing to let your mind aside and let your soul guide you forward? Are you willing to let that internal compass, that inner guide, that inner self, this spiritual world, are you willing to let that be the thing that guides you forward? Are you willing to let that space be the one that you're operating from, the one that you're engaging with the world from? Are you willing to let that space pull you forward? And if the answer is yes, then anything is possible, literally anything. And that is the beauty of our spirit team, is they are here to remind us of that. They are here to keep us true to that energy. They're here to keep us resonating with that energy, with the infinite possibility that happens when we're connected to the spiritual world. And that's what we teach you how to do in Soul Rising, because we have this community, we have this spirit team that's guiding us forward, that's going to hold that energy for us, that's going to keep us moving. But then we have this course that's going to give you the tools to develop that connection, to keep it strong, to rewire and reroute those subconscious patterns, to help you heal the traumas, to help you find new techniques and new patterns and how to journey and all of these things that are going to help you move out of that space of subconscious and ego and mind and trauma and stuck and into this space of expansion and possibility and soul and that spirit-led connected life. That's what we're doing in this program, is we're moving you from one side into the other and into this space where your spirit team are part of your day-to-day. You are so connected to nature, to energy, to spirit, to all of it every single day, that you're not just living out a pattern anymore. You're not just living by default. You're not just doing what's next because that's what's next. You're living that by design, by that call forward, by your soul's purpose, and letting that be enough to guide you forward, letting that expand you into the next step. And when we do this, what I love about this program is then you have support on both sides, right? Like you have your spirit team supporting you in the spiritual, and then you have your quote unquote spirit team in the physical of like Christine and myself and Chantel and your fellow students, and this community on the physical side that's keeping you accountable, that's holding space for you, that's showing you what's possible, that's reflecting everything that you're experiencing back to you in a safe space so that you feel like you can come and share all of your experiences and all of your learning and all of your everything in this really safe space. And so then finally, not only are you connected to yourself, but you're also connected in these networks in the physical and the spiritual world that are keeping you supported, that are keeping you uplifted, that are keeping you on track and helping you move forward. And I think that's invaluable. I don't think that's an experience that you're going to get anywhere else.
Absolutely. And it's not available anywhere else. And I think that's the beautiful piece of Soul Rising, is that it's been cultivated over many years to bring you the best of the best of what we know absolutely works. And the intention of the program is so that you can do the self-healing work, so that you can develop your clairvoyance, your spiritual gifts, so that you can meet your spirit team, along with doing that inner healing work, learning how to do self-healing Reiki from a shamanic perspective, from doing the mindset work, from releasing limiting beliefs. And it's all like beautifully packaged and oriented to the cardinal directions, so that we are calling in the power of the direction. So everything has a very shamanic elemental flair to it to support you in your spiritual development. And this is the first, trimester of a much larger thing. So this 4-month program is so that we have a really grounded space of, I know how to shamanic journey. I know how to connect with my guides. And then if you want to move on to learning how to be a shamanic Reiki practitioner and learning how to do cord cutting and soul retrieval and shamanic journey for others and so much more, that's the next 4 months. And then there's even another 4 months after that for advanced. So I've had a lot of people ask me recently, like, well, what if I want to learn to be the practitioner? And I'm like, oh, we've got you covered. Like you can move through this over a full 12 months, but this is the starting point. You can't do the advanced learning how to read soul fabrics if we don't know how to shamanic journey. You're not going to be working with the incarnation of death and are advanced if you don't know how to meet your own spirit guide. So we have to start here. Here is the first step. And I really, truly believe that just like Reiki, this is a tool that needs to be in everyone's toolbox. If everyone knows how to connect with their spirit guide, then your life is going to be so much easier. And so I want to welcome you, to invite you to say a big hell yes to your self-healing, this first step. What is it that you need in your life? You will find the answers in this. You will be more aligned with your passion and purpose in doing this work with us over the next 4 months. We start February 10th on the next new moon, and we would really love for you to be a part of it. If you are signing up before the 17th, we're throwing in 2 bonuses. We have our Reiki Manifesting Abundance course, which is all about releasing your limiting beliefs around money. And if you learn those techniques, you're going to be able to apply it in other areas of your life. So it's a giant head start to the program. So if you're like, well, I don't want to sign up now because what am I going to do for the next 3 weeks? You're going to do this. You're going to do this program. You're going to work on it, as well as chakra flow. If you're joined before the 17th, we're also throwing in that little beautiful chakra flow program to really help you get a broader understanding of the chakras and start that activating actions to come into alignment. So that has guided meditations and yoga and so much beautifulness in that program too, so that you're doing the prep work before we get there. So if you join after the 18th, but before the end of the month, you're still in early bird pricing. We've got a pay in full option as well as a payment plan. So if you need that payment plan, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. We want to support you. So, and if you have any questions, Izzy and I are available to have those conversations. Reach out to us on Facebook Messenger. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. And we would love, 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 love to support you for the next 4 months and developing this practice.
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This program has been years in the making, right? We've had so many iterations and so many different ways that we've approached this, and we can feel it. We can feel that energy all coming together in this one. Like Christine said, we've taken the best of the best. We've taken these practices that so many students have seen results from, that so many members of our community have put in the effort to say, yes, this works. Yes, this transformed my life. Yes, this took me exactly where I needed to be. Yes, this gave me the answers that I was seeking, and so much more. And so if you want to hear from some of those students, we have testimonials on the webpage. You can click the link in the show notes and go over and listen to all of the stories from so many of our students whose lives have been transformed because they said yes to the spirit world. They said yes to their soul. They felt that calling. And they said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to choose differently this time, because this first choice is the first choice of your new life, of your new way of approaching things, of your new perspective, of letting your soul expand and letting your soul be the one that's guiding you forward. It all starts with one choice. And so if you're sitting here and you're like, yes, you can feel that energy, you can feel the excitement, you can feel that it's for you, and there's that little part of you that's like, but it's supposed to feel hard. Making this choice is supposed to give you a little bit of that, like, oh, but feeling. Because what that is, fear is just the threshold between what you've done before and the new thing. And that fear is giving you a chance to pause, to activate your free will, like we've been talking about in this conversation, and then decide, do you want to keep living the way you have been? Or do you want to live in a new way? Do you want to let your soul guide you forward? And if your answer is, I want the new experience, I want the expansion, I want that joy, I want the answers, then all you have to do is say yes. And let yourself understand that it's okay if it's uncomfortable. It's okay if your mind has questions. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're here, to answer your questions, to support you, to guide you through all of the emotions that come up when you make a big decision. But knowing that that fear is not a reason to say no, it's just an opportunity to assess. You have a choice here. And the choice isn't, do I take the course? Do I not take the course? Do I connect to my spirit team? Do I not connect to spirit team? The choice is, do you want to live the way you have been living? Or do you want something new? Do you want to feel connected? Do you want to feel open? Do you want to feel that joy? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel empowered? Do you want to have your soul guiding you forward? And if your answer is yes, then there you go. That's all it is. That's all that choice is how do you want to move forward? And so if your answer is yes, if you're ready to move forward with us, if you're ready to take that step to create a new life, to step into this energy, then we're here for you. And we're so excited for you because we know that this works. We know that this course has the answer, not because we have the answer, but because you have the answer. And we're just going to help you understand that. We're going to help you remember that. We're going to give you the tools to help you discover that you do have the answer and you can access it. You can access that wisdom. You can access that love. You can access your spirit team. That's why this program works, is it's not because we have a 10-step thing that's going to work for everybody, but because we firmly believe in you. We are going to be your partners in believing in you so that you can find your answers in the program. And so if this is what you're ready for, then we are ready for you. And we are so, so excited to be working with you.
Absolutely. And the only thing I want to add to that, which is another one I'm getting a ton of questions on, is when are the calls? When are the live calls? Guess what? We do something really unique, and that is we take your schedule. We look at your availability and we make our call schedule to confirm and affirm that you can make one call a week to make sure we know that you can continue to make progress in the course. So we're doing the work on our side. You sign up, we'll ask for your schedule, what your availability is, and then we develop the call schedule from that. And we might have 2 or 3 calls a week to support you, but to make sure everyone in the program can come to at least 1 call a week. So don't let that hold you back. There is flexibility in the call schedule, and that we are looking and ensuring that you can come to calls. This is a program that has pre-recorded videos, workbooks, group support, live calls, for shamanic journey training, for coaching, for like so much, so that we really have witnessed in the past through other programs how to really cultivate an opportunity of growth and fulfillment and all of the things. So once again, if you have questions, reach out directly. Otherwise, the information for Soul Rising is in the show notes, and we look forward to supporting you. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us today, to listen to this show. And we're so glad that you were called to listen to this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all so much for showing up, for committing to yourselves, for tuning in and spending time with us today. And we'll see you next time. Mwah.